This episode of Off the Job Podcast is sponsored by Gas Certificate app.
You're the boss. Stop chasing certs across emails, scraps of paper, and group chats. Get everything sorted in one slick app. 30% off for new users with code POD30. Boom.
This episode of Off the Job Podcast is sponsored by FlexiGas.
Right, we're back in the room. We are here today at Off the Job Podcast. I'm Pete. This is Keiran, and today we've got a very special guest.
I like that.
Yeah, it's the one and only Pointy Plumber.
Hello.
Round of applause.
How
We've
the
never done a
devil
round
are
of
we?
applause before.
It's about time we got him on here, isn't it? You know what I mean?
I mean,
We never
I
got
was,
him.
I mean,
Invite him.
he's the most loudest person in the plumbing community, and we thought we wouldn't invite him on.
It's been
until,
2 years
like, the
and we've
fourth-
known you for longer.
I think
Yeah.
you must have more professional microphones now that can like kind of limit the peaks of my natural
Yeah,
volume.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
You're too loud before.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'd be good to learn. Everyone knows you're a plumber. We'll
You
go
do.
into that, but it'd be good to know
we
more
don't have
about
to
you
go
as
into
a
that
person.
boring shit of plumbing, man. We can just go. He's got loads of stuff other than.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. We want
How long we got though?
we got
'Cause,
as
No,
you
that's
know,
what I
long
was
as
saying.
you.
I
wanna
only
know.
put an hour on the parking. So.
we want to know more about him as a person rather than just plumbing.
Oh
So-
gosh.
Yeah, more
There's
about-
What was you
much.
like in school?
More about you, Robert.
Terrible.
was she
Don't,
like?
no,
Robert.
don't you dare.
Does your
Get
missus
that,
call
get that
you- does
name
your-
out of your mouth.
Does your missus call you Pointy?
Yeah, she calls me P. Yeah.
Does she?
Yeah. The only people that call me Robert are usually like 2 or 3 random customers that I just don't know why they do that. It's like, no, stop it. It's weird.
Gives me the ick.
Yeah, it does. Literally, I'm like, stop it. Like, it's Pointy Plumber. Look, it says it everywhere. Literally everywhere on me.
What was you like in school then?
But terrible.
same?
Special needs, quiet, slow to the jokes. Like the butt of many jokes, of course. It was a shocking time at school. The bits of it I can remember were shocking. I think outside of school was okay, you know. Like I had a pretty decent childhood with regards to, parents and good, like decent family around me and stuff like that. But I think by the time I started school and got into the swing of it, I realised that, well, I didn't realise it obviously, but my mum was worried the whole time that I had some kind of, educational needs. What do they call them now? Doesn't matter.
Specials?
SENs, that's it. SENs have got an acronym for it now. Not allowed to call. Still got special in the word, but you're not allowed to say the word special.
Special.
It's SEN now.
You were special.
I was very special. I was
You
a
are
VSEN.
special,
I
though,
was.
I mean, special
yeah.
in a nice way, though, isn't you?
Thanks.
Special,
but not.
What was
then-
the hard bits in school then?
I think just general sociability, the kind of understanding of and I feel that when you're normal, and I do use the word normal as in like, because now they use neurotypical and neurodivergent. It's like neurotypical, neurodivergent. It's like, no, you're special or you're normal. So the normal ones, which was quite a wide rainbow of people as well as being on the spectrum.
Rainbow.
Yeah, but back in the days when it was just a thing in
right,
the
yeah,
sky,
yeah.
like when I was a child, it was like, oh, rainbow or zippy.
Yeah.
Zippy.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, Jeffrey. You see, I lost my train of thought.
know.
So, yeah, so back then it was like, the normal people were just kind of like anybody that wasn't special, basically. But then when I was in primary school, I had issues with teachers. I never acted up. I was never like a naughty boy, but I was still like punished. Like I always remember this one part that stuck with me forever. I was trying to figure out, and this probably, if you watch a lot of the internet, you'll have heard this story before. We were doing, I think it was like year 2 or year 3, and we had counters on the table, and the question was, what was 100 times 1? And for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out because I only had 26 counters. I don't know whether it was 26, but I definitely didn't have 100. And the teacher, everybody else, everybody come and sit on the carpet now, and you all go and sit on the carpet, and I'm there at the table still going, 25, 26. I don't know what 100 of these is going to be. I don't know what 100 of these is going to be. Just didn't click at all, And then, of course, the teacher then gets uppity. There was no real understanding of these things back in those days. It was just me being slow and annoying. And it was always like, what's wrong with you? Are your hands tied behind your back? And then, of course, I looked at my hands and I'm like, no, because they weren't, obviously. Don't backchat me. You go and see that. I'm like, well, I've not back. I answered your question. So of course, there was that kind of level of being so literal back in those days, that was like, well, they're not, and I'm not talking back to you. You asked me a question and I'm answering the question. So yeah, so that was what it was like. And then the kids were just as bad. Kids are horrible, aren't they? Let's be honest. Kids are just absolutely fucking evil. But then, yeah, that's what kids do, really. And I think back in those days, back in my day, there was a certain amount of just put up and shut up, as in, I don't think it was because there wasn't as much social media and there wasn't as much knowledge of the situations. It was just bullies and victims back in those days. It wasn't kind of like cyberbullying, and it wasn't suicide, and it wasn't depression under the age of 8. It was just
people
like,
just got picked on, didn't
yeah, it's like you're having a shit time at school. But I also believe that it's like that back then it wasn't as. There was obviously the obvious bullies, but at the same time, it's that you could kind of steer clear of those most of the time. But they used to bully everyone. But the thing I had a problem with, that even the victims of bullying used to pick on me, and I'm like, you're weird. Like, why am I getting what am I doing that's so wrong? But yeah, so that was pretty cack.
It's funny you say you was quiet.
Yeah,
but that's what
it's waiting to get out, basically.
Yeah, because it's in you, but school,
work.
yeah, like you say, people are horrible, so it makes you just retreat in yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it was just by the end of it, I was so. I mean, I don't think I completely retreated, because I'd still end up saying the wrong thing at the right time, and it was just like, but I think it was just, I got to that point where I was just so worried about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, and constantly being brought up on it, not really understanding what's going on around me, as in like, why I don't understand. Like, I've said exactly the same phrase as them, but it's been reacted to completely differently. And obviously, I think my mum then ended up getting me like looked into, and it turned out I might have, went to see a child psychiatrist. And she worked really hard, my mum did, to be fair, because back in those days, again, it wasn't a thing, you were either normal or a naughty kid, and anybody else was just slow. And you say these things now, you can't say it like that. I'm like, yeah, but explain it then to someone that didn't know all the buzzwords back in the day, when we didn't have an explanation for every single little learning difficulty, So it ended up getting labelled as Asperger's, and then later on it was dyspraxia, which has a lot of things to do with Asperger's. I call it Asperger's, even though apparently the correct pronunciation is Asperger's, which I didn't like as someone with Asperger's, because there was no ass and there was no burgers. So, yeah, I'll take them.
I like an Asperger.
An Asperger. I know it sounds horrible, but the doctor apparently discovered it or decided what it was.
It's like asparagus in a burger.
Yeah, Asperger's. Yeah, it could be. That's like a granddad thing. That is. I'm going to take the first and the last half of two words and smash them into a new word. But yeah, so that was that, and then it didn't really make much difference. There was always the learning development department at high school, which was mostly just for dickheads. It's like, he's got trouble. He's a troubled child. He's not. He's a twat. Right? He's either got shit parents and a shit home life, or he's just a good old-fashioned dickhead. Right? Meanwhile, I'm at the back of maths, you know what I mean? Getting bullied, right? Because I'm fucking slow and I can't figure out my times tables, and the teacher's giving it the big one because I'm fucking last one to finish my thing. Meanwhile, over here is going fucking go-karting day because he's troubled. I'm like, do you want to maybe come and help me with my fucking maths? Like, it's like, oh no, we've got to, you just don't worry. He's expressing himself. Just put the chair down and you can go to the whatever they call it, the hub or something. It's like, you're not fucking wankers. That's what you are. Stop acting like wankers. And that's it. It's simple. A lot of swear words in this so far, isn't there? Tell you what, you're going to have great fun bleeping this out later. Just actually what I think you should do is just do subtitles, and then just cover my mouth with a sign, off the job logo. And then he swore a lot during this bit, but
He's
the
making
basic
work for you. He's making work for you.
You know what I mean? Earning your money this week. But it's like, but the basic premise was he didn't like troublemaker.
How did that transfer into sort of adult life then?
Well, there was a very kind of bumpy section. So near my
bumpy section?
It was a very bumpy section. Near my GCSEs, obviously everything was coming to a bit of a head. I'd had it for 10 years. I couldn't be bothered anymore. Everyone hated me. I thought everyone hated me. I still didn't understand myself or what was going on. Just nothing made sense. I thought I was going to do terribly at my exams. I was just like, what is the actual point? You know, at the age of 15, I was obviously, it sounds so cliche now to talk about it because it's such a widely talked about thing is depression and suicide and this kind of stuff. It's a very big buzz thing at the moment. And obviously it's a very serious subject.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, we get it. You were 15, good for you, you know. But it did seem at the time like I wasn't even getting heavily bullied that you hear about some kids now. Jesus Christ, I don't think I could cope with what it is now with the head I had on my shoulders back then. But at the same time, it was the biggest thing. It was like, what's the point? You know, there's no need for me to be here. I'm getting no benefit from life. I'm bringing no benefit to anyone else's life. And that's the headspace you go into. So I was just like there and I was just in the corner one lunchtime and there was this kind of one group of kind of semi-nomads that never really fitted anywhere else either, but we kind of tolerated each other in the corner, you know. And I was like, I think I just need to end it. I'm bored. I can't be bothered anymore. I don't know what to do. I said, I just want to get rid of everything. I'm fed up of listening. I'm fed up of hearing. And he says, oh, why don't you try that? Why don't you try that cannabis? That's supposed to make you forget. I'm like, which we all know is a very good use of that. And anybody that says any different is lying to themselves and everyone around them. But anyway, I can say that from first. That isn't a statistic. That's fact. So I was like, okay, but where the bloody hell do I get that from? Where am I going to go from, you know, gutter scum to talking to someone that might have access to that? Anyway, fast forward, found drugs. That was great. A reason to live all of a sudden. Then it's like, why would you want to die when there's this?
For gas jobs that need to run smooth, FlexiGas is the go-to clean, quick and proper solid. Try it and see the difference.
So did that change your mindset?
Oh yeah, drugs are brilliant. Oh wow. I mean, no one's ever been addicted to jumping in front of buses, have they? You know what I mean? Not the same outcome, is it? Do you know what I mean? Seriously though, think about it. No one's ever been addicted to queuing in traffic, have they? Because it's shit. I'll tell you why drugs are addictive, because they're great. Mr. Mackey was wrong the whole time. But let me finish because it's an important caveat. That is why they are also terrible, because I'm
glad you got this to this bit.
They what you don't realise until you're almost at the bottom of your downward spiral, and it is a downward spiral. And you know, there's people out there that can possibly claim that they can live a constructive, fulfilling lifestyle whilst using, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs, whether it's something like that. But there is always, regardless how well you think you can control that, there is still a dependency. Because if there wasn't a dependency, you wouldn't do it at all. It's that simple.
Yeah, it just masks it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When it comes to addiction, that is very different. Addiction is the want and need and necessity to not only have it, but get more and want more. You could literally go and pick up and before you've even opened the bag, be thinking about when you're going to run out. That's addiction. That's it. Like, how can I afford this? When can I justify this? How can I make excuses for this? So even though typically I was very stoned and it started off, and they say it's a gateway drug. Now listen, to anybody at home listening that might see this as a kind of drug awareness podcast, weed isn't a gateway drug. You have a spliff and all of a sudden then you're like, wow, I fancy some crack. It doesn't work like that. What it works like is that there is always someone about that you can either have a drink with, total strangers, doesn't matter. You can have a drink with them or you can smoke some weed with them. Those are the two things you'll always be able. Walk out into the street now. I challenge you to walk up to at least 5 people. I'll say at least 3 of them will be like, yeah, I'll come for a joint with you. That's it. Now, that means you're multiplying massively your social groups, and not just a social group. You're multiplying social groups. You're multiplying the people you hang out with, the types of people you hang out with, their backstories and everything else. And that's where they have also done the same thing. And then you've already got this ripple effect of possibility, of opportunity, where you're around stronger things, different things, more things, you know, and there's always...
So it's not necessarily the drug's a gateway drug, it's the social environment that's the gateway. Yeah.
And at the time, don't get me wrong, I was, you know, and it's a very, very kind of tricky life belief to explain to people, but I'm well aware that drugs saved my life. But drugs also ruined my life. Without drugs, without the people that I did drugs with, without the lifestyle of the drinking and the going out and the having a reason to go to work and to stay alive and to keep doing stuff and to, accrue money so I could spend it on A, B, and C. That became then the kind of the push to continue, which all of a sudden thinking back of and going, I was ready to call it a day at 15. Now all of a sudden I'm 19, 20 years old, and it's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But that in those few years of kind of, constant using and messing around, those earlier years, it felt like a roller coaster, a fantastic ride. It was brilliant. And it was, to be fair, it's like I convinced myself I was working full time. I didn't do the calling in sick thing. I was never a dosser, never been on the dole. Just keep working, keep grafting, keep having a great time, work hard, play hard, standard. But then it comes to a transition where I went to chef school because I was promised terrible grades. Turns out graphics and French is hard to do when you're stoned. Everything else is pretty sweet. Drama, C, maths, C, English, BB, science, CC. I mean, wow. I did well. I think I got an A in biology, but then because I got terrible in chemistry, that brought it down to, I don't know how it works. But so I did quite well. But then by the time I'd finished my GCSEs, I was on like, this stuff's great. Let's just, what are we doing at lunch? Are we going down there for it? Yeah, all right, let's go out. Let's do that. And that just became a lifestyle, a reason to live, a reason to get up in the morning. It was brilliant. So fast forward now, I've dotted around jobs. I've done weekend work at a paintball site. I've done, chef school. I've been 3 years at college, at Birmingham College of Food, where I was actually a very good chef at a time. But because of this lifestyle that I was living, I wasn't after experience, opportunity like you should do in the catering industry. I was after the pounds per hour, and the pounds per hour and whatever I did was always the deciding factor. So instead of going and getting a job as a commie in a decent kitchen at a decent place, and getting opportunities to learn real skill and get your name out there and work around people that really know what they're doing, and then actually earning better money eventually, it was a case of, I can go and work there for an extra 75p an hour, and over the week it works out at this and blah, blah. And that ended up me working then, before I left chefing altogether, in some dead-end, grill pub on my own in a white plastic box, pinging meals and deep frying God knows what, and what I thought was decent money. But by that time, there were so many extended friendship groups, or acquaintance groups, that it was just literally hemorrhaging money all the time. I was living on my overdraft, and it was, but again, I was living a great life. I was having a good time. And it just carried on convincing myself that was what I was happy with. That's what was great. Fast forward 23, I met my now wife, Charlie, and she was like, wow. I'm like, wow, how is she even talking to me? Absolutely gorgeous, still is, I might add. Just incredible woman, and she had her head screwed on. She came from the same kind of background as me, mum, dad, sensible job. Had the same. We had the same kind of future goals. House, mortgage, wedding, kids, just brilliant. Everything's felt right. And then obviously I was I was just shit basically.
So you were still on the drugs at that point?
Yeah. And then it got to the point then where I was like, slowly realizing that I was mixing with the wrong crowd, and it was getting a bit old, and it was getting a bit try hard. And I was like, why am I still doing this? And then obviously, went through tough times, Charlie and I did, and she stuck by me, and that, I'll owe her that for the rest of my life, and because without her being such a massive part of what I'd lose, I would never, I don't, your family can tell you, your friends can tell you, but when it's in your head, it's in your head, but I needed that. I've found Charlie as that thing that if I don't buck my ideas up, the whole thing's shagged, So 27, the whole thing turned around. That's basically when I'd been doing, I'd been doing chauffeur driving, I'd done agency chefing.
I can imagine you being in the kitchen, working in the kitchen,
Yeah.
like a Gordon Ramsay
It was.
type. I can actually imagine
it was great crack. I did about 3 months at the Brian Turner restaurant at the Crown Plaza at the NEC, and that was hard work. That was. They were all downstairs having a crack. I was upstairs in the bar kitchen, I always say about the time I hate Rod Stewart. It's like a running joke now about whenever someone says about Rod Stewart, I was like, did I ever tell you about the time Rod Stewart fucked me in the ass? And they were like, so, quick history on that. So I'm working in the bar kitchen, right? No bookings needed in the bar kitchen because it's just the bar kitchen. But we had a decent menu, salads, steaks, sandwiches, pizzas. Brilliant. On your own. No one else. Your own prep, your own cooking, serving. Waiters will come in and grab it, but the tickets just keep on coming, right? So one evening, Rod Stewart playing at the NEC Arena. Brilliant. Full house, hotel was rammed. Restaurant bookings downstairs, rammed. Gets a sore throat, doesn't he? Cancels the gig. So now I've got 280 rooms of 300 that want feeding in the bar kitchen. And I'm like...
It's a sore throat.
Yeah, gets a sore throat. Rod Stewart, I mean, he sounds like he's got a sore throat most of the time anyway. But Rod, if you ever hear this, you ruin my day, man. So he cancelled. The contents of the hotel landed in the bar and started ordering. The bar staff couldn't care less. Their process is to just type it in, press go, and then carry on serving the next person, which they did. So about an hour into service, I'm absolutely ragged. I've run out of food. No one's coming up to help me. They've not sent anyone up. It's absolute carnage. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm kicking off. I'm mouthing off at waitresses and waiters. I'm like, tell me what they're fucking getting. You fucking... Like this, absolutely going mental. Went downstairs to get stuff out of the freezer, which I was very stressed out about. I had to get my own fucking stuff at the same time. So I've got like fucking 200 tickets on upstairs and I'm coming to get shit out of the fridge. Anyway, someone thought it'd be hilarious to lock me in. Yeah, they locked me in the walk-in freezer. Now, as much
Weren't fucking somebody you went to school with, was it?
No. But no, so it was like I got locked in and I was like, shit, okay, right. So I'm absolutely like levering the door, trying to get out of a walk-in freezer. Anybody that's been in a walk-in freezer, it's bloody freezing. That wasn't the problem. It was quite refreshing at the time because I was very sweaty, very hot coming down from upstairs. But I just knew that upstairs was melting down and I'm locked downstairs. Anyway, they eventually let me out. I lit off. I gave it both barrels to the head chef, stormed back upstairs, finished my shift. Says, I'm not coming back. You can sack this off. Stormed out, never went back. So yeah, that's how.
What was the turning point of stopping the drug? Like what had to happen?
How many? What drugs were you on? Like what were you?
So it was. I mean, it started off with the weed. The weed was a constant. Weed was great. But we, there was ease, there was Mandy, there was coke, there was quite a big craze of MCAT back in the day. People called it MCAT because it's stunk of cat piss. I believe it was called methylcathinone, as its correct term. There's actually only one. It's like one molecule structure away from being actual crystal meth. I found out later on, was because it's a crystalline substance, man-made. Didn't get graded by the government until after about 2 or 3 years because it was fertilizer. Anybody remembers that? And it was literally, you could buy it in the kilos.
Is that what I used to call meow meow?
Yeah, that's the stuff. Yeah, it was like MQs. It stunk of cat piss. It was horrific stuff. 9 days awake, I think, was the longest I did on that. Didn't go to sleep.
Do you know you said that all helped? There must have been low moments during that time as well. Is there any ones you can remember?
I think it was the weirdest thing was that I think the whole time I was so busy just convincing myself I was having a good time because I was choosing to do it that I don't really think it mattered. I think there was a couple of times where I got pulled over by the police, or I got stopped by the police, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is that's it, we're done. Okay, it's come to the end. I'm not coming back from this now. And I did. And I was like, there was only so many second chances. And then eventually I decided that, it was like everything was getting really hard at home. there was so much pressure and stress, and everyone was always upset with me. I wasn't going home at night, and I wasn't where I was supposed to be.
Everyone, what, your missus?
Yeah, the Charlie moved in with me for a bit, and it was like, so we were living at my parents' house, and it was just like I was just a bit of a crap person, really. There's no ifs or buts about it. I was a terrible person to be around, effectively, and I'm not proud of it at all. But then again, it come to a point where I was. I went to the doctors, and I said, I want some drugs to get me off drugs. And she was like, do you do hear what you've just asked for, right? I was like, yeah. I was like, all these drug addicts that get drugs to get off drugs. What do you do heroin? I was like, no. Why would I do heroin? I don't like needles. I was like, okay, so you don't really need methadone then. There's not anything else that we give drug addicts drugs for to stop them wanting drugs, because that would just enforce the addiction. I still don't get how methadone works then. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
So she sent me to this group, which was just full of alkies that wanted to get a tick box so they could keep their free council house. And I was like, these are not my people. It didn't feel right, And I'm sat there. The gaffer I was working for at the time, which is when I originally first started getting into the construction industry, who gave me a chance, was like, come and do some labouring for us, give you some work. 'Cause I'd done digger driving at the time. I'd done landscaping. I'd done all sorts of different jobs. And I was working, but I'd go on the Tuesday to this meeting around lunchtime, and then I'd go and sit. This is the joke, right? As an addict, I'd go and sit in a pub afterwards, drink it with 2 pints of like 9% scrumpy in front of me. Yeah. Driving home, swigging this stuff, writing what a great day it's been because I haven't done drugs or acted on my addiction. I'm thinking, and then I look back, I'm like, what the fuck? Who are these people? We're paying for this. The government, tax pounds are paying for this kind of, kind of involvement. It's like, keep drinking. Don't worry about the drink. That's legal.
Yeah.
But you got to stop doing the drugs. All right, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. But then very quickly, I became a massive alcoholic, obviously, because I still like the buzz. I was never really trying to cover anything up. I was never trying to escape from sadness or anything like that. Originally, don't forget, at school, I started doing weed because I wanted to forget everything, right? That was the first reason. Then I enjoyed it. Then it was a pleasurable thing. And then eventually it was chasing the high because I just liked feeling different. I didn't realise until I look back on these days where I'm like, I wanted to feel different because I didn't like how I felt. And that's how you can mentally explain it. But yeah, so I'm become an alcoholic, and from the alcoholic, I'd started to do really well, and then I'd get really, really hammered. I always remember, I think it was, as a typical addict, you convince yourself that I convinced myself legal highs weren't drugs because they were legal, right? And this mentality, this justification process that addicts have. So I started doing legal highs. Almost killed me. Almost died one night, literally. I was just in this loop for about 7 hours in my downstairs toilet where I'm thinking, right, if I can't throw it up. I don't know. Do I call an ambulance? No, because if I call an ambulance, everyone's going to know that I've done something. But if I don't call an ambulance, I might die. And then if I'm dead in the downstairs toilet, they'll know I've probably done something. Maybe I should call an ambulance. No, I can't call an ambulance. If I call an ambulance, they'll know I've done something. But if I don't call an ambulance, you can see 7 hours I spent with that thought process just going around in my head. And I was like, what am I doing?
Was you hiding the drink then?
I was hiding everything. Well, I thought I was hiding everything. I mean, it was obviously, when I look back at...
So what, you would drink on the way home and then...
I mean, it was such a kind of mishmash of times. But when I first originally got off like trying to get off drugs, I'd do legal highs, but I wasn't drinking because I was driving. I was like, I don't want to drink and drive. So I didn't drink and drive. I just did legal highs and drive. That was just as bad, and it's like, and then you move on then and you start doing all sorts of other crazy things. But the ifs and buts of it was that I sat there on my sofa. I'm sat there freezing cold, coming down off whatever the hell it was I'd ingested that night. And I'm just sat there realising, like, what am I doing? I don't know whether you remember the scene out of Wolf of Wall Street when he thinks he's done a really good job of driving his car home and he's off his head, right? Yeah. I went home that night and thought I'd cleaned my kitchen, thought I'd literally spit polished the entire kitchen. 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, my mum comes down to see me on my hands and knees cleaning the floor. And I'm like, so I obviously woke up in the morning and thought to myself, well, great, I've woken up. Brilliant. Didn't think that was going to happen.
Bonus.
Right. But then I'm like, what have I done to the kitchen? I'm thinking, I've trashed the kitchen. I've got to have trashed it. I cannot done anywhere near as good a job as I think I did last night. It's not possible. And so, yeah, it's like, I lay there and I was like, if I get away with this, if I get away with that night of being that close to God knows what was going to happen to me, and everything, if I get away with this and no one's mad at me today, then I promise to God, I'm never going to do drugs again. I'm not going to do drugs again. And even though I've never been a hardcore religious person, I still hold God as someone with a bit of weight, someone somewhere, something watching over, making shit happen or not. And I feel like up to that point, I'd had a pretty good run of 12 odd years where I'd got away with blue murder with what I've been trying to do to myself and people around me, and, pretty much got away with it, right? So something was watching over me. And so I was like, okay. And I got up, and believe it or not, everyone seemed okay. Everything seemed okay. The kitchen was really clean. I was like, oh, thank God for that. Couple of weeks later, tickets to Limp Bizkit at the arena in Birmingham. Went there, course, drinking again, because I'm allowed to drink and I'm going to drink. I went on the bus specifically so I could drink, because I'm allowed to drink. I got so hammered, right? Snake bites, vodka, mixed turbo shandies, mixing everything up, wanted to get blattoed. Got blattoed, went to a bar afterwards, ended up buying a spliff off someone in the beer garden, and because I was so drunk, they had to carry me back to the car that night. And that's when I realised that was like, well, I've lied to my family, I've lied to my missus, and now I've lied to God. I was like, how low am I going to go before something stops me? And that was the light bulb moment, that I've literally lied to everyone. And at the time, to me, there was no higher power that I could mug off and feel like I could get away with it, And I was like, okay, I've fucked up here. This is bad now, So
how did it affect the close people around you then?
Well, again, at the time I didn't care, and this is what it is. It's like, unless they're actively disappointed with you, then you don't feel like that you're doing anything. Obviously, you look back and you realise, and you talk to people and you realise that it was a horrible time to be around me.
Did it make you a different person, like in a bad way? They
would think so. They would say so, and I can only agree. Really, I mean, obviously,
well, you remember being out.
I mean, I wasn't there for most of it. Body was, but soul wise, it was like, and that's not an excuse. That's just like, it's almost like you became a passenger in your own body sometimes, and you're trying to remember certain bits, and a lot of it's gone. I memean, my brain is gone. I mean, the fact I can remember gas regs half the time is a miracle, But then, it's just a lot of it's gone. But I just know in my heart that it was. I really pushed boundaries and limits, and it was shit. So that's when eventually something happened. I started going to these meetings, and one week there was this guy that came in from Narcotics Anonymous. It's like AA, but it's for narcotics, i.e. drugs. I won't tell you any more details about it because you're not allowed to. If anybody wants to know, feel free to DM me. I don't mind talking to you personally about it. And it is a very important question to ask. And it's also very important just to go to a meeting and not be scared of it. So just do it. Anyway, so that spoke to me, and I went to this meeting and I sat around this room with these people that I'd never met before, complete strangers. And I literally felt I was late. I was stressed. I didn't know where it was. And this guy that I kept phoning was like, look, don't worry, chill out. You're almost there. You're just around the corner. It's okay. We're stopping for a cuppa in a minute. Don't worry about it. I'll meet you outside. Yeah. Very chill out the whole time. So then I sat down after their tea break. And then one by one, they did the share. Everyone does these shares. No matter what these groups are you go to, they do a share, And literally, I just listened to every single person around the room, and they were from different walks of life, different age groups. You couldn't have put any kind of thing between them that would be, something they'd have in common, other than the fact we were all in that room for the same reason, And I felt like they'd scripted the whole thing. And I said to this guy, I was like, did you plan that? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, did you talk about what you were going to talk about in front of me? No. I was like, so how did they all know what to say? He goes, because we're all the same. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. That blew my mind. And I went home that night and I was like, so you got to stop then. That's it. Like, you're weaning yourself up. No, just stop. I was like, drink everything. What, completely? Yeah, nothing. Drink, drugs, nothing. Ever again. Just stop. I was like, okay. He said, do you want to? I was like, well, yeah. Would you stop then? I was like, okay. And remember, keep coming back. And that's like a very important thing. Got to keep coming back. And I was like, okay. And I got home that night. I walked in. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock. I got back. And I turned to the missus and I was like, this is going to be my last ever drink. And she was just like, quite supportive in the grand scheme of things. She was like, that's great. I really hope so. No judgment, no whatever, And I was like, okay. And it was a Savannah dry cider, 3 for $5 from Tesco's at the time. I always remember what it was. Last thing in my fridge. Last thing. Drank that. I was like, well, that was it. And that was 12 years ago in March. So it'll be 12 years on March the 4th that I did that.
Well done, mate.
So, yeah. And the rest of it's a roller coaster. So that's the update to, 27-year-old Pointy.
How long was you together?
So we got together when I was 23. So we've been together. She put up with basically.
Why do you think she stuck by you?
Oh, I mean, she's obviously just an amazing person.
How old are you now?
See, I'm 39 now. So we've been together
16 years.
Yeah, that's it. We did work it out the other day. Married for 8 of them. So I honestly don't know. I mean, I think she'd tell you that she saw something in me that she knew I could be, and that she wanted to try and help and kind of, I don't know. I still to this day can't quite see it. I knew that I was like luckiest man alive to have this woman in my life.
Fair play to your wife for sticking around.
Yeah, because so many wouldn't, and I just felt so much guilt for so long, through the process that I was like, I've, put someone through this, put my family through this. My mom, my dad had to see it. But then the other bonus was that I was very lucky, and it is luck. I mean, it was hard work and all that lot, but I was very lucky to be able to get clean, get my life together. I had a great opportunity from John and the Denstons and a kind of structure in life and something I enjoyed. So then all of a sudden to have gone from up down here to up here, drugs are great, life was terrible, to then drugs are also terrible, life is terrible, I'm making it terrible, to then, the trades.
How were the first few months coming off of it? Because it's not easy to just stop an addiction like that.
I think that the hardest thing for me, because I'd been trying already.
Does your missus drink?
No, she's not a drinker at all, really. I mean, we used to go out a lot to drink, in the early days. We were both young people. It was the thing to do. And so that's why it didn't automatically feel like such a bad thing originally. And it was just, it's just young people being young people. It's early 20s. We're messing around. We're just drinking, we're having a great time, whatever. But she would never choose to drink. She's not one, let's go out on Saturday and get shit-faced. She's not that person at all. She didn't really suffer from me not doing it. I think the social side of things was the hardest thing to change, because I'm getting hot. So hot with a hat on. I'm wearing a jumper and I bet the radiators are on. No, they're not. It's nice and cool. So I think the social thing was the hardest thing. And to anybody that does want to try and change their life, it's the thing where you realise that a lot of people in your existence are only there for the same reason that you're there.
Daryl said that.
Yeah, it's like you seem to naturally surround yourself, especially like football fans in a way. You wouldn't go and hang out with people from the opposing side, would you? You kind of find your own team, you find your own group, don't you? Your own gang. And even though you might not necessarily know the geezer on the next row over, he supports the same team as you, so we can be mates, right? Nothing else in common, no like reason to talk to each other, but you convince yourself you're mates because you both support the same football team? Oh, friends, football friends, right? Which is how I see football, unfortunately. But it's the same with addiction. It's like friends, drug friends, addiction friends, and you'll just find reasons to hang out with people that you don't like, you don't know, and exactly the same vice versa. But you've got that one thing, that you both do, and then you just force yourselves together. So when you take away that one thing, you realise you're not bringing anything to their table, and they were never bringing anything to your table.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite a massive circle of multiple codependencies going on that you just like.
Do you feel like you had to start again in a way?
Sort of. I think it's funny. There's a lot of people in my original friendship group. When I say like the friendship group I built up in that first 2 years at school before I left, and continued to be friends with into my later teens. That it's ironic because everyone always tells you, they're not real friends, they're just drunk friends, or they're just whatever it is friends. But then I'm still friends with all that group, and a lot of us are we're all grown ups now.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that's still kind of, and you sort of, whatever, great, you do you kind of things, but if they're operating, right? They're not me with regards to if you can cope with life and you're living a successful, financially stable, healthy life, crack on, good for you, happy for you, great, honestly. So I'd say it's nothing worse than an ex-smoker. It's different. So good for you, great, really happy that you can smoke that, take that, whatever, one day a month maybe, and you're great with it, good for you. I can't, because one is too many. And I know that once I've had one, 1,000 will never be enough. Yeah. So it's like, that's me, that's fine. But we're still really good friends. We still know each other. It's great. So that's fine. And so that's carried on. But so many of the outer circles just drifted away, fell away, and you still see people every now and again. You're like, all right, yeah. And you still like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah. What about you? Nah. And they're like, really? 10 years, 11 years. Well, fair play. And you just think, cool. That's it. What else have we got to talk about? Nothing.
We had Screed Pappy on here the other week, didn't we? And he talked about addiction and alcohol and stuff.
He's local to me. It's crazy, that we literally lived in basically the same postcode our entire lives. And until I think it was, what was it now? I can't remember when we first met. I swear it might have been on something for On the Tools. And just like, where are you based? Oh, so-and-so. And he drove past me once on the motorway. I was like, And we just started chatting and realised he lives 4 minutes away from my house. And we must have literally walked past each other on nights out multiple times growing up. Yeah. So we're the same age, we live in the same area, and South Birmingham's one of those areas where literally it's like Rubery, Bromsgrove, Catshill, Marlborough, South Bromsgrove, all know each other, really. Yeah. The only difference was you get the posh kids and then everyone else.
Yeah.
But the fact we never bumped into each other, we never scored off each other, we never saw each other out and about. It was just like, how is that even possible?
Do you obviously get people that struggle to get away from it. I just think it's important to have the close ones around you. Let's say you didn't have your wife or close family, you might have carried on.
Oh yeah,
because you didn't want to disappoint them and upset them. So
everybody's bottom rung of the ladder is totally different. There might be people out there now thinking, I'm not that bad, but there's also probably out there thinking, oh wow, that sounds pretty terrible.
I brought Screedy up because he was saying about his opinion is most people who drink are alcoholics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what he thinks. Are you the same opinion of that? Or?
I think I wouldn't necessarily label it to that degree. I think that you could look at a lot of people, frequent drinkers, and I would ask the question, because people always ask me. So I drink a lot of non-alcoholic beer now, right? I drink a lot of non-alcoholic stuff.
Oh, I'll tell you a funny story about it.
Good, but the thing is, non-alcoholic. Oh, why would you drink that? What's the point in that? I'm not. What's the point in drinking the real stuff?
Yeah.
I like the flavour.
I like the flavour.
I like drinking.
What's your favourite?
Yeah, I think right now probably the go-to is there's two. I'm either in a Guinness Zero mood, because that was a game changer. When Guinness Zero came out, that was biblical.
I do like that, yeah.
That's brilliant. If you like a lager, if you like a beer,
2 seconds.
Go on.
Sorry.
It's all right. Was that on loudspeaker, or are these microphones that good?
Really good.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I couldn't understand it, but I could hear it. Where were we? Oh yeah.
Fresh beer. Well, alcohol.
So Guinness, game changer, brilliant. However, if you like a beer, the only one that used to be out there was Beck's Blue, and that was garbage, and that was horrible. And Heineken came out, that was really good. Heineken
Smells like weed though.
It does smell like weed. Bavaria is cheap and actually all right, but it's a bit sweet, a bit weird. But the best one now is that I've had pretty much ever is Lucky Saint. It's not cheap, but it's phenomenal.
I like Lucky Saint.
Yeah, really, really good.
Now, what's your opinion of that, right? Some people say that alcoholics shouldn't be able to drink non-alcoholic beer.
They shouldn't be able to.
Because it begins a placebo effect of like yearning for it and could turn you back onto it.
So, yeah, and I totally agree.
Yeah?
I totally agree. There is a possibility of that, without a doubt.
Have you nearly backtracked?
No. The only time I have been drunk since I got clean and sober was off a portion of tiramisu at Carluccio's about 4 years in. And I had to ring my sponsor and literally beg down the phone. Oh my God, I'm off the wagon. It's all gone wrong. I've wasted 4 years. What do I do? What have I done to myself? Calm down, explain what happened, and I was like, I had tiramisu for pudding.
We're back in the gutter.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I had tiramisu for pudding, it's all gone wrong. Okay, did you have the tiramisu because it had alcohol in? No, I just I didn't know it'd have alcohol in. Right. And do you want more tiramisu? Do you want a drink now you feel drunk? No, I feel terrible. I've let myself down. I've let you down. I've let everyone down. The whole thing's ruined. I've got to start again. No. Okay. So do you would you have it again knowing that there's alcohol in it? So absolutely not. I was like, the whole point of me, I'm a failure. I said, no. It doesn't work like that. It's like, it's not a stumble. A stumble is to turn to drink.
Yeah.
Falling off the wagon is to want drink and have drink. That's not drink. That's
You'd probably
frightened
drinking again.
If you're an ex-alcoholic and you have a bit of sherry tri-4 or tiramisu with alcohol in it, you're not going back.
No, if you know, then yes, you are.
Yeah,
if you have some,
it's
only a spoonful.
Yeah.
That's addiction. That's a justification straight away. That's you wanting it and coming up with a reason not to have it.
How long was you doing the classes for still?
I did it for, to be honest, I went for
classes,
about 2 years, the groups, the meetings. But yeah, I did it for about 2 years. Got my key rings, and then I'd go back every now and again into I think the last one I went to was probably about 5 years ago. Because it just, life gets so busy and full on that you just replace everything. And I think when I first started sorting my life out, I was doing 5 days a week labouring, learning the trades, working, that kind of stuff. I was doing 2 days a week at Sainsbury's, delivery driving still. So I was doing about, I think I was doing about 24 hours in a weekend. I was doing, 8 till 5 days a week. I had 2 nights a week, Tuesday and Thursday. I was going to night school to do my plumbing qualifications. And then on a Wednesday night, I'd be going to a meeting. So for the first year of doing that lifestyle, I'd effectively replaced all of my extracurricular activities, as I'd call them nowadays, with more stuff.
Yeah.
I'd filled all the gaps. I didn't have any spare time. I was knackered. I was working. I was paying bills. I was trying to clear my overdraft, and it was just non-stop, that kind of thing.
God, sorry.
Okay.
Bloody kids.
So I was too busy to do anything bad. And obviously for the people around me, they saw me improving, they saw me working hard at it. And I felt more like I have to make this work, or I'm going to lose everybody around me that's cared about me, that's put up with me, that's loved me enough to kind of be around long enough to hope that I change. And I didn't want to let them down. Obviously, everyone will say, oh, you did it for yourself. You got to do it for yourself. You can't do it for other people. But I needed to do it for other people. I needed to prove to people that I could do it.
You need to want to do it to change.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to want to. If you don't want to, fine. You're never going to, people, you'll literally be, you hear stories of people that are literally on death's door, and and they'd still trade their last breath for another sniff or another smoke. Or
did you ever
drink,
felt like you lost time because of all that, or just?
Oh, definitely. I feel like at the spot, if you were to ask me if I could go back and change it, I think I'd possibly try and tell myself a bit earlier, like, this is what you should be doing. But I feel like
You
in a
can
way,
never, it's hard to do.
yeah,
Like,
but it's hard to pick a spot. It's like going, it's like Back to the Future, isn't it? And it's like, where do you go back to change, and what would happen if you changed? Would I be with the same person now? Would I have been in the same job to meet that person? You know, would I have? I always kind of say like, oh, that. When I was at school, I started spending a lot of my lunch times because it got pretty bad near the end before the name Pointy came about and became like the latest thing that the entire fucking planet was
how
taking
did that
the
come
piss out of
about?
me
The
for.
name
A
Pointy.
pointy head, basically, a cone-shaped head, you know, and yeah, just someone pointed it out in English the once. Oh, look, Rob Clark's head's pointy. And that was the end of that, and it was horrible.
Why don't you like your actual name?
It's not that I don't like it. It just feels weird. It's like I've been called Pointy for almost over 20 years, you know, and it just it's now it's my brand, it's my existence, it's my persona, it's everything that I have worked for and been through and done and experienced and achieved and lost. And it's, you know, my life didn't really start until Pointy because it was that crossroads where I went from, I was absolutely sick to death of everyone just taking the piss out of me all the time to then being like, it's all right. Come on, hurry up. Fucking hell. Hey, kids.
But everyone knows you have been outgoing and loud. Like,
Yeah.
What are you sort of behind?
I don't.
like-
Well, this is. I think this is a very current issue. I feel, and to kind of, I don't know, to kind of
feel like-
look
yeah.
behind the curtain of Pointy right now, 2026. You know, January. I don't know, and I think that, and it's quite scary. I think because especially this year, I don't want to go into too much details. It's all still quite, you know, unofficial and weird, and you know. But like, I don't know, and it's a conversation that I'm having with myself and people around me, and I just don't know.
Well, you don't know why.
I don't
that's
know
there,
who
so-
else I am, you know, because I was in my head, in my understanding, I went from being this, you know, stupid, slow, you know, bullied, you know, idiot that didn't get jokes, come out with them 2 days later. Well, the ship sailed on that one. You're a fucking idiot now because we did that Monday and it's Wednesday now. So, you know, get out, you know, what are you trying to be cool for? That was that. And then it was like, then all of a sudden someone called me Pointy, and then the whole school was calling me Pointy, and I hated it. And I literally was like,
How's that Pointy come about?
well, you missed it. You were on the phone. And, should we tell him? Should we let him in on a joke? No, it's just so I had a pointy head.
Oh, right, okay.
And so, you know, Dan Aykroyd, cone head, it was very pointy.
Okay.
There's photos somewhere of me having a very conical shaped skull.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, awkward birth. My mum will tell you all about it, I'm sure.
Right.
But yeah, so that was that. And I was like, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, really. I was like, I'm fucking fed up with this. It's like one thing after another. And I'm there, 15 years old, crying on the sofa. I've been doing it for 10 years at this point, and I'm like, what have I done to deserve this? What am I doing wrong? And then I just thought to myself, you know, in the movies when they say like, you just got to take the power out of it, man. You just got to accept it. Make it you, make it yours. I was like, well, I've tried fucking everything else at this point in my life and nothing else has worked. So yeah, all right, why not? I'm Pointy now.
When did the louder Pointy come out?
I think straight away when the weed started, really. I think that the problem, well, it wasn't a problem at all. That was the problem, that it wasn't a problem. I think I then got to that point where I was fed up and I was trying to delete everything, start again, fresh, get rid of it all. And I was like, let's do weed, let's forget, let's delete, let's start again. So we went through that section of it at the same time as this Pointy coming out. And then all of a sudden, Pointy, because I accepted it and I called myself it, and they were like, oh, is your name Pointy? I'm like, yeah. Like, oh, what? So you're saying you don't mind being called Pointy? I was like, no, call me Pointy. That's my name, isn't it? So that's what everyone knows me as. And weird, I don't know how it works, like a lightning bolt through life, that all of a sudden you've got this kid that I always thought was still the same kid. I could think and say whatever I wanted to, but because I was smoking weed, it was cool. It was, oh, he's stoned. He says some great stuff when he's stoned. I did probably weed for a good month before it actually started getting me high. I was not high for a long time into smoking weed. They were so peckered joints, it was pathetic. When I look back at it, I'm like, no wonder it never touched me, you know. Splitting a fiver between 5 people and then making it last a week, you're not going to get high. But we were all like, oh, yeah, oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. He says this guy's great. It's honestly, Pointy's so funny. And I loved it. I love that. That was the bit. That was the good bit. That was where I was like, oh, yeah, I like this.
And then that's come out because What do you like at home?
So, well, I was probably still an asshole at home because they say you always hurt.
No, I
the
mean
ones
like
that
now,
love you,
sort
don't
of. Are
you?
you still out there?
I think.
How do you relax? Like, how do you switch your brain off?
I feel like it's a tricky transition at the moment. I'm currently trying to get through kind of an ADHD diagnosis process. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know what the results. I'm pretty sure I know what the results are going to be, but what that
I know what the results.
I think everybody knows what the results are going to be. But again, I need to get that little sticker so I can get access and understanding of the wider parts of it. Because it's not like I'm going to turn around to myself and go, here's my ADHD certificate, you need to be nice to me now. It's not about that for
Just
me, but
figuring
running
out
my own
sort of
business. I need
why
to
you do things.
and I need to have access to someone that deals with that stuff a lot, that will be able to go, okay, this line here, this is that, and this is you, and this is how we're going to try and give you a chance to work between the two of them, because I definitely think there's 2 people in me. I keep getting told there's 2 people in me. I think I've always known to a degree that there's 2 people, because, you know, Rob Clark was still, you know, this guy years ago that you know, just was happy and the thrill of life and just never quite understood stuff, but it was okay because I was, you know, I just loved it. My imagination was amazing and all that lot. And then as the years have gone by, this pedestal of being Pointy that I've longed to stay on, and I've put myself in more situations where I believe people think I'm cool and great and fun and loud and you always rely on Pointy to make the point or whatever. You might hate me. You might be watching this going, I think you're a knob. Good, fine. But, you know.
We've just had a guest on, right? And we was talking about personas and that.
Come up on the thing. If you
Sorry.
Yeah, you're going to lean into the microphone. They're not that good.
Interesting. We just had a guest on and we was talking about persona and stuff like that. Now, would you say that Pointy is a protection?
I don't. This is what I mean.
Trying to figure it out,
I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, the issue I've got is that there's so much of me that I believe is Pointy, that's ingrained into me as Pointy. It's like I've
you forgot who you are.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I've done so much as Pointy, and whereas obviously, you know, my family would still think that but you're Pointy to them, you're Pointy to the world, you're Pointy to Instagram, or, you know, on the tools, or, you know, all these brands that you work with and stuff like that. But then, but that's not who we see. But then I, for the life of me, cannot see that, and I feel like I'm in a situation where no matter how hard people try and tell me who that is, I don't want to hear it. I'm not ready to hear it, or I just can't hear it. I don't know. It's a weird one. So,
How has it affected your life for you to start looking into it? Because it must have affected in a way.
I mean, it's pretty. It's the process is still pretty fresh. I think it's kind of come to a head most recently because of taking on more work and the social media thing getting a lot more successful, with a lot more demand and a lot more responsibility, a lot more requirements. You know, work is getting busier and busier and busier as well. So it's just like, which is good, but then you're managing 2 sets of diaries, 2 sets of invoices, 2 sets of everything. Excuse me. And then as well, it's like, there's the truck racing stuff. You know, I do stuff with the truck racing. I do 7 weekends a year with them. But then, you know, as Charlie explained, my wife explained the other day, it's like that it's all the other things that go with that. It's the award nights, it's the weekends here, or it's the day there, it's the so-and-so. And that's the same thing for the social media stuff. It's not just a few posts on Instagram, it's the days here, it's the filming there, it's the, well, so-and-so's got this on, you got to go to that because you got to, you got to go to that. I want. FOMO kicks in, major FOMO. Because again, you constantly live in this life of doing stuff all the time. And again, I look at that and I'm like, yeah, that's addiction, but also massive connections between addiction and ADHD based around impulse control and the constant desire to want to do something different, you know. It's I explained it to someone the other day. I was like, I'm that type of special needs where ADHD, I believe, it's autism and ADHD mixed together. Because obviously I got diagnosed with autism, so it's definitely something. You know, if I've got ADHD as well, there's a combo. But I was like, I'm that type of special that needs structure, but then the ADHD part of me needs the structure so it can destroy it.
So without you're struggling with the structure at the moment.
Yeah, it's like without structure, I'm lost, gone. Can't achieve anything. Don't know what to do. Can't pick a priority or a thing or a job or like a list of things to do at home. Just I can't pick one and go, right? But as soon as I've got a structure, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that, and that's great. And I feel better that I've got a structure and I've got a list of jobs and I need to tick those boxes. But then the part of me that could never pick anything out of the blue then doesn't want to do the structure. So no, you can't tell me what to do. I don't want to do that. So it's just like...
Do you think social media is quite destructive with that?
I think it can be massively. Again, that kind of rewarding part that I look for, that instant gratification that the addict in me still wants, that I wanna flick the switch and feel the buzz, you know, all the time. Which again, a lot of people with ADHD, with hyper focus, they get that fix out of, I like this is good, let's do this, and they just spend the money and they get the stuff and they go, whoa, and they're like, wow, this isn't actually as rewarding as I thought it'd be because it's quite a bit of work now, so I think I'll find something else that's fun. With social media, that it's like that all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Do you find it draining? Like, let's say you've been to an event, you're out there, when you go back to your hotel room, you're like, is it being like that is draining? Or
Fucking covers it up well.
Yeah. So it's not at the time. It's not at the time. This is the thing for me. Me personally, I can't talk for other people, but for me personally, when I'm on the roller coaster, I'm on the roller coaster, right? And the roller coaster is until the end of everything. You know, that could be installer, for example, 3 days, absolute carnage, right? I don't even drink and it's absolute carnage. It's late nights, it's people, it's chats, it's convos, it's laughs, it's videos, it's messages. You know, it's trying to run a business at the same time as go to installer because the phone still rings and you've still got bookings to do for the next week. There's family life. And as you're going to think that, and even I'm hearing it, you know, I'm talking about all this stuff and barely once or twice in the last hour have I spoken much about my family, you know, and it's like, cause you fill your time with all these things and the biggest impact is of those that are there, that want you to be there, that need you to be there, that will still be there if everything else goes away. And they're the ones that actually, you know, suffer the most effectively, you know, and so.
Because that's being busy, isn't it? So it's more sort of, let's say you do have a persona and you're trying to work out that other person, like it's being a persona is quite draining.
I mean,
or do you just feel
I don't think I'm putting it on. Yeah, this is this thing you see. I don't see it as a persona.
Yeah.
It's just me. I think it's just me. It's everyone else that says there's this other guy, this other person there, this better person. It's, you know, I'm like, okay, but I don't know where they are.
Who's to say he's a better person?
Well, I don't know. Find out.
Probably not a better person, but maybe just a more chill, but that's probably the way you are. You just I don't know.
That's what I mean. I don't know, and it's so difficult because it's like I still have only got the last 20 years to go on, but then there's been so many negatives along with all the positives of the last 20 years as experiences as a whole that it still could go either way. It's like, well, which one's been causing it? Which one's been dealing with the aftermath of it? Which one's been enjoying it? Which one's been organising it? You just, it's really.
But what makes you think there is another person? That's just you, isn't it? It's like you say, you're not forcing it. You can't force it. It's like, what makes you even think there's another?
I don't know.
Is that me, myself, and Irene?
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
You were like, that'd be funny, wouldn't it? No, I mean, I don't.
I'm being cool enough. What? I need to.
When this goes
my
out
back's hurting.
clips, like how can you just?
My
hold the
back's
mic
hurting.
Like that?
My back's
He's
hurting.
getting old, isn't it?
Getting old, and he's comfy chairs, and he's bless him.
And we need
Get one of
comfy
them
chairs.
heat pads on the back.
We do
for him.
need comfy chairs.
But yeah, so that's the kind of that's the deep dive point. I can't wait to see this on the internet. Yeah.
Point is a plumber, by the way.
Pointy Plumber.
We did it-
Do plumbing? Did you know he do plumbing?
He does do a bit of plumbing.
How did you get into the trades then?
Well, like I say, it was 27, and just randomly started. I'd been doing digger driving for a bit, and I was chatting to someone that then
You in charge of a digger?
I almost ripped my own face off the once. 40-ton Komatsu.
You wouldn't stand near it. would
Yeah, 42-ton Komatsu 360 on a building site. I was there as an agency driver. Got my CPCS card, sorry, and brand new machine. Done about 6 hours. And it was. I think I didn't really know when to say no at that time. Whereas, right, no, I'm not putting that bucket on it. It's the wrong bucket. You know, oh, you'll be all right. Which, if you was a professional, which obviously I was not at the time, because I got my license out of the Kellogg's box. You know, which is like us getting pissy at people that do a 6-day plumbing course and go and call themselves a gas engineer. It's like, mate, what are you talking about? You know, you ain't got a fucking clue, have you? Yeah. So I did the same thing with diggers. Yeah. And I brought me bucket in to track over to the other side of the site and literally flicked it in, ripped the sun visor, it swung through the window. Luckily the window was open because you can open the full windscreen on a digger.
Yeah.
Luckily the window was open, so I didn't take out the glass, which was good because that would have been expensive. Swung here, missed my face by about 3 inches, hooked up and flicked off the sun deflector at the front, which I was kicked off site for because obviously bloody dangerous. You know, I'm like,
fuck do you do that?
because the wrong bucket. The length of the bucket was longer than the bucket that should have been on that digger.
Right.
So when you bring it in, it curled in way too close to the cab, and if I'd have literally got any closer, because it would have gone closer, there's a complete chance that I didn't annihilate the cab on the digger. So. Don't mess about with plant. Got better after that, anyway. But then, so I was this guy was chatting to. He was like, "Oh, I need a trench digging." I was like, "Oh, wicked." You know, I need a water main putting in. Brilliant. Yeah, fine. I'll come and dig you a trench. Happy days. You know, down a digger. Why not? Bit of fun. I love driving diggers. It was great. I was actually very good at it. Not on building sites. Yeah. You know, I could drive a digger shit hot. Didn't know how to lay drains and stuff like that, which I discovered you need to know how to do. When you get in a digger, you should have done, it's like being a labourer for a plumber. You know, you do the cleaning the toilets, eventually you'll be fitting the boilers. When you're a digger driver, you've already spent 2 years in a trench. Then you've spent 2 years out the trench. Then you've spent a year doing roads and working at night. And then all of a sudden you'll end up in a digger, and then you already know how everything works. Yeah. So to get into a digger without doing all that first is the fast track plumbing course. It's here's your gas ticket. How'd you fit a boiler? Dunno.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So it's that, and I look back at it, I'm like, fucking hell. But yeah, so I showed up on site to have a down a digger. I met this bloke there, John. You know, I was like, right then, where's the digger? Is it a mini digger? Is it or what? He's like, nah, there's no digger. What do you need a digger for? I was like, to dig the trench.
And I'm a digger driver.
Yeah, I'm a digger. I thought that we had a conversation about me being a digger driver, and you said there was a day that there was, you know, as a trench to dig. I expected there to be a digger. No, here you go. Here's a shovel. Needs to go from there to there. I says, this is going to take a lot longer than a day, because I know it is. I did wonder what you were talking about, it taking a day. And I was like, okay, no. Okay, fine, right, well, yeah, off I go then. 3 days later, digging this bloody trench, you know, metre down, 400 wide. And he was like, oh, you're done all right there, yeah, brilliant. I think it was on about £30 a day or something back in those days. And that's what you start on. When you start in a trade, don't expect money. You will get paid very little, less than minimum wage if you want a trade. It's that simple. You've got to start at the bottom and work your way up. The decision process is if you're working for slave wages for someone that's actually going to teach you or not, or someone that's actually going to give you an opportunity and actually show you how to do the job, that's worth working for absolute pittance. Otherwise, they're just mugging you off. There's a life lesson. Anyway, I did in fact learn quite a bit. So then on the third Wednesday at night, he comes, yeah, what are you doing tomorrow? I says, nothing. Working on Saturday, Sunday, but until then, nothing. do you want to come and help us finish the central heating system? I was like, well, I haven't got a clue about any of that plumbing stuff.
Where's your digger?
Yeah, where's your digger? You got a digger there?
Rip out the bathroom, your digger.
Yeah. I was like, no, I said, I've never done any of that. I was like, no, you just be fetching stuff from the van, just getting stuff, making tea, that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, right, why not? An extra 2 days, right? Yeah. So I showed up on the Thursday, and by Friday afternoon, I figured out how to build radiators, hang radiators, do push-fit pipe work. I figured out how floorboards worked. I figured out what power tools were and what to use in what situations. I drilled through my first pipe. Realise there's a difference between telling someone to drain down because you've drilled through a pipe or turn the cold main off because you've drilled through a pipe. Big difference. One takes a lot longer. But also, if you drain the central heating system down whilst the cold main's still pissing out everywhere, it's not going to do much. So that was my first week. And from there, then I was like, you want to come? We've got another one next week. You want to come again? I was like, yeah, I'll come. Yeah. And that was almost 12 years ago.
And then what, did that people put you through college or you put yourself through college?
No, so luckily I think I paid for my first year of plumbing school, night school. Went to the ATC in Stourbridge, although it was private. Anyway, Stourbridge. And then from there I did it the next year because they were closing the course down. They give it us for cheap or something. But by year 2 of my plumbing course, I already bought the gaffer's van. I was already starting to do the odd bit here and there. So by the end of my second year, when we were working on the bays and doing the boiler pipe work and the S plans and all this nonsense for level 2, I never did level 2 diploma. It was getting to the point where I was going to my van to get materials to finish my bay so I could go finish early. I was going down Wetherspoons with one of the other guys. Obviously, I wasn't drinking. So by then, go down Wetherspoons and we'd spend 2 hours of our 3 hours at college just like drinking and having a great time together, Yeah. Shout out Josh. Great times down Wetherspoons. God, I miss those days. But yeah, so then I just naturally, I was like, well, I'm not doing level 3. I can sling it up. I'm teaching the students now. Like, this is a joke. I'm like, what's the point in this piece of paper? Honestly, college is a joke. Sorry, college, but you're a joke. So that's that simple. Kids now come out. Grandad, prime example, tell this story all the time. He's done 3 years full time at college, Grandad has. And when he came to me as a level 3 NBQ, not a diploma, NBQ, qualified plumber, yeah, never showed him how to use a spirit level. Couldn't hang a rad from fresh. Yeah. How'd you put them back? How'd you put them on the wall, Grandad, then? Or we put the screws back in the holes. That's the education you get from 3 years full-time college. So I was like, yeah. Anyway, so that was it. That's how I got into it. And then we did central heating jobs until the cows come home.
You don't touch bathrooms, do you?
Don't touch bathrooms, but we ended up doing bathrooms. We did a lot of bathrooms, we did kitchens. Then the guys I work for, Tradesman Property Services, like I say, great guys. I will always owe them a debt of gratitude, for giving me the opportunity, for taking on a bit of a loser at the time and teaching him a trade. That I obviously took to quite quickly because I'd done a lot of jobs by then. So it was quite a quick learner. But then it always used to, and it still does in a way, always upsets me a bit when I look back when I was 14, 15, spending lunchtimes in the woodworking lab at school because, Mr. Hall had let me hide in there instead of having to deal with the playground. That the school, the educational world back in there, or still to this day probably, was such that he was scared. Because I knew he wasn't inept. He wasn't incompetent. He was a fantastic teacher. He was a great teacher. He was an old teacher. And you can see that he'd been around the block, So I wouldn't personally hold it against him. But the situation he was in was that he didn't feel the ability to turn around and say to me, you could do this for money, right? Like, what? Play with tools? Yeah. And wood? Yeah. What, and build stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, we had that before. We had that earlier.
Yeah.
A number of podcasts.
And you just think, and it's like, but I know. My sister was a teacher for a bit. My sister was a teacher for a bit. And I know that there is still a thing in schools. If you accidentally tell a child that they could be something and it doesn't align with the parents' views, you will be blackballed for it. You will be, told off for it. And it's like, and I just feel like that was the situation there, that he'd obviously got it in the neck at some point in the past where he told a kid, you'd be a great carpenter, you could do this for a trade, you're really good at this. My son's going to be better than a carpenter, blah, blah, blah. And we do hear it all the time on podcasts, on the trades, everything, everybody knows. But it's just such a shame that that situation exists now, where we're actively just not telling kids that are good at something, they could be good at something for money, you know. So yeah, I could have been a chippy. Who knows?
What made you start your own business then?
It came to a point then, so I'd been working with the guys, I did 6 years in total with the Denstons. We diversified they diversified as a company to doing extensions. They did the bathrooms, we did the kitchens, you know, and John was a shop fitter once upon a time. So we had a lot of multi-trade skill going on, and his son, Ant, who could have signed off my portfolio, did my work with me. He was the gas fitter. He was the bloke that we were doing all the central heating jobs with, you know. So then they wanted to focus more on the family business, which was construction, renovation, that kind of stuff. I can actually do bricklaying. They sent me on a bricklaying course. Obviously, I did all their digger driving. So it was a great fit because I was learning new skills. We were doing central heating, but I ended up knowing how to dig footings and how building works and how roofing works, because we used to do everything in-house. You know, we did electrics, self-taught electrics, figured it out to do it properly. It was like, we did all that. We did the roofing, we did the tiling, we did the flooring, we did the screeding, everything. And so by the time I left, I could basically build a house now with the skills I've got. And I would make sure it's a bloody good job as well, because you just work to the engineer's drawings and do the materials that have been signed off by building control, and you'll get the house that's on the picture because you've done the right thing, right? Not like new builds, you know, like build the first one right and then the rest of them are just like fag showroom. Yeah. You just like one good house and then an entire estate of fag packets and monster cans, you know, just like sick, pal. Yeah, got done fast though. But yeah, so anyway, so that was that. So eventually, though, it got to the point where it's, look, I'm gas safe. You know, I've done my portfolio. I've done all my portfolio was my own work, because they were doing so little gas. By the time I'd done my gas, that I was like, where am I going to do my gas? You know, I was booking in boilers, I was booking in this, booking in that, and I built my portfolio around my foreigners effectively. You know, foreigners, just in case no one's explained, is just work outside of work. But because I was self-employed the whole time, it was still just my work. It was fine. I was just getting, you know, that was the process. But then it come to the point there, I was like, look, you know, guys, I don't want to do building. I don't want to be out in the rain doing bricking and slabbing and digging, and I don't want. I'm a bloody gas. You taught me to be a gas engineer. Yeah, let me be a gas engineer. You know, send me out, make money off my head. You know, send me to boiler jobs, get me to do plumbing stuff. You get phone calls about it all the time. And we want to focus on the building. We want to focus on the family business. I says, fine. I says, well, look, I says, with all due respect, you know, so grateful for the opportunity, but I need to call it a day, because I want to do what you've taught me to do. The fire you lit under my belly, I want to do that. And I was making more money on the way home from work than I was at work. So, yeah, by the time I left and I worked out my kind of notice, and, you know, it was all amicable, still great mates now. My old gaffer rings me up for advice sometimes, vice versa. It's great. It was all kosher. But yeah, it's just like, you know, when we eventually parted ways, I had 2-3 weeks of solid work booked in before my last day at work. So I kind of felt like I'd be all right then. So yeah, it was that was the transition, I suppose.
What's been the challenges then, working for yourself?
Granddad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I realised pretty quick that year, we finished in the November with the Densons, and by mid-December, a week into stopping working for the Densons, my van blew up. I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? You know? And then a mate of mine, Matt Lawrence, lent me a van out the blue. Saw it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it was at the time, Snapchat probably. Back then, oh, I've got a van you can use. Absolute legend. You just come out of nowhere to say you can use I've got a van. I just use it for driving scrap around. Use it, get yourself back on the road. I was like, what a legend. So it would have failed before it started, really, if it wasn't, again, for these people around me that I've kind of met along the way. So yeah, and then I took Grandad on. I put a post on Gas Chat on Facebook. Poisonous place most of the time. Terrible, terrible thing to be involved with. But anyway, it was there. I was like, where do people actually look for like helpers, like for plumbers, for people that will give you a hand? And everyone's going, oh, you've got to hang out around colleges. And it sounded a bit
Sounds a bit wrong.
Yeah. I was like, that's not really okay. And then it's like, oh, you'll find someone. You just got to this. Well, just put a picture in the page in the paper. No. Friend of a friend reached out and was like, oh, I know a lad. Lovely lad. Carlton it was that called me. He works for Keiran now. He's like, oh, I know a lovely lad. He says, oh, he's done his level 3 MVQ. So obviously, he's done his wiring and his radiators.
He knows how to hang them.
Yeah, knows how to hang them. I've got level 3. I says, he's more qualified than I am. And an MVQ. That legally means on-site experience.
Yeah.
Because you can't have an MVQ without on-site experience. Says that 30 plumbers per college per year that come out with never leaving that college classroom with an MVQ and on-site experience.
Yeah.
It's a new crusade. I'm sorry. I can't help it. But yeah, so it was like, oh, brilliant. Sounds like he'll really be able to help me out, I was like, well, reaching out. He spent a year on his arse playing Xbox because there's no jobs in the trades. Mm-hmm. And that's why, because they're useless. They are literally, there is no benefit to having someone that's fully qualified come to start with you because they're not qualified. They don't know anything at all. Rarely, of course, there's obviously the odd one. But yeah, so he came, spent a day, and I was like, right then, you do.
College had just birthed them.
Yeah, if that, barely. Yeah. Umbilical cord's still pumping, man. It's like, wow. I was like, we've got 3 radiators to do. You hang that one. I'll do the 2 upstairs, and then, give me a shout if you're stuck with the pipe works. I know you'll have done 10 mil at college, and this is 15 mil copper, not 10 mil plastic. So, give me. So yeah. Went upstairs, hung and fitted my 2 radiators, come downstairs, and he's still just looking at it in the packet. And I'm like, what are you doing, Grandad? I wasn't Grandad at the time. Obviously. He got that name first day, though, because George is his real name, and my granddad's name was George.
Right.
That's how it came about. But I was like, what are you doing, mate? You all right? And it's like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what I'm doing. But you can wire S plans and do like basic gas according to your MVQ. So why can't you? You got to unwrap the radiator, yeah? I don't know. They weren't like that at college. Of course they were. And this is me that I'm thinking, all right, I get it. Second-hand radiators at college have been hung a million times. Like, okay, fair. Right, let's get it unwrapped then. Look, cut it down the back, blah, 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 peel it off, stand it in front of the wall you're working on. Right then. Now we're ready. Now you've got your radiator from college. It's there, it's in front of you. How do you mark, what do you do first? Brackets. Right, okay. I mean, look, I was trying my best. I've been a scout leader at one point, and I kind of, you deal with people, you have to kind of teach kids how to do stuff, and they just don't know what to do. So you have to try and really give them the questions to get the answers that you want them to have without just giving them the answer, So yeah, we're nerds. I said, so how'd you get where'd you measure the brackets then? How'd you, where'd you measure the brackets to? I don't know. Right, okay. And I'm still like, you did 3 years at college though, right? Yeah, and you definitely did radiators. Well, yeah. I was like, okay. Well, how did you know where to put the brackets at college? Well, as I said before, you put the screws back in the holes.
They go they're back in the same place.
4 holes on the wall. I says, tell me, when you did your on-site photographic evidence to prove competency and experience in the educational system of the wonderful world of plumbing, you did it at college, didn't you? He's like, yeah, right. Did the lecturer come round and take pictures of you in all of your different bays, or did you all queue up in front of the same radiator and he took a picture with you in front of that radiator? Yeah, we were just queued up, yeah. I'll name drop. I'll tell you. Right, you're kicking out so-called plumbers, I could hate to see how little electrics they know if you've done an electrician course there. The mechanics, my mate went to get a mechanics ticket. Bear in mind, he'd been swapping engines, rebuilding engines for about 8-9 years before he eventually went to get a ticket for his insurance purposes. And they wouldn't even let them change brake pads or service.
Queue for your portfolio.
Yeah, a queue for your portfolio. Your on-site MVQ portfolio, bear in mind.
On site,
not in the college.
Queue at college.
At college for your on-site individual real life work experience, and that is the caliber of plumber that we're apparently failing in the jobs market at the moment.
You must have seen something in Grandad then. What made you?
I think you know what, he was nice. He wasn't. Right, he spent a day in a van and. Obviously, I pretty much I probably mugged him off.
He didn't smell.
No, he didn't smell. Didn't smoke. He wasn't on his phone all the time. He looked terrified for the first probably week, to be honest. But that's even more the fact that he kept coming back as well, and he listened.
A lot to be said for that.
Yeah, and he dealt with me in a van. You imagine never meeting me before in your life.
Fuck that.
Yeah, and then spending 8 hours confined in either the same house or the same cab.
I mean, I had to get myself together for a good fucking week before I knew you was coming. Prepare for this. Oh, hats
you
off
will
to
be
Grandad.
ready.
Yeah.
But I did. And you know what? I thought, you know what? It's like he was getting the bus. He was turning up every morning. He was on time. He was nice. He wasn't a complete idiot. I mean, he was, but not like an annoying idiot. It's like, yeah, he wanted to do it. He wanted to do it, you know. And it's like he was willing, and he was willing to work for peanuts as well, which at the time was all I could afford because I was like, well, I can't. I don't know. I haven't got money. I'm not an employer. I don't know what I'm doing, you know.
Yeah.
I said, just go self-employed, get your money together, so you can do jobs for yourself, and I can use you when I need to use you. I'm not telling you I use you all the time because I don't know. I can't. I just don't know. Any work's better than no work, and any help is better than no help, you know. And then it just grew from there, you know, and that was 7 years ago in November. Nice. So it's like, yeah. And then he learned and he listened and he watched and he dealt with my hissy fits and my tantrums and my bullying. It was bullying. I did bullying blind, man. He even tells you himself, many a night he went home and cried at home.
We call it character building.
It is. And I tell you what now though, right? I have conversations and it's kind of makes you feel a bit all warm and fuzzy inside. And I know it sounds, you know, something okay. But no, honestly, there's something about having a conversation with someone that hadn't got a fucking clue the difference between a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver 7 years ago, or where the bubble's meant to be in a spirit level. And now you're having a conversation with him, briefing the day that he's just been on, that I've just been on, different days. Tell me about this. Well, I told him this and I said that. And obviously I checked that, you know, and I measured that and I took some pictures so you can quote what you got to. And I'm like, right, wicked. What about the so-and-so? Well, I explained that to him and I said, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I just stepped back. I suppose this is probably what it'll be like parenting one day when Henry gets a bit older.
I think,
and it's like, shit, man. Like I don't not sound big-headed, but the only reason you know all this is because we've learnt it together.
Yeah.
You know, and I've taught you this, and listen to you now.
As a result, isn't it?
Listen to you now.
It makes you realise how much there is to learn.
And one day he's going to go out and he's going to pass on his knowledge.
Well, he is.
Right? And I love Grandad. I love Grandad.
Yeah,
I love Grandad. Right? He's gonna pass on all his knowledge, and he's going to try and bully people, but they will probably end up bullying him.
Yeah. It won't work like that. Yeah.
He'll go back crying.
Won't work that way. Well, I mean, you know, it's and this is where we're at now. Obviously, that we've got, and this is the funny thing, and this is again another massive kind of issue, you know, big picture issue we've got in the trades, I believe, especially when it comes to competency and qualification. And as plumbers and gas engineers, right, we know there is a massive night and day difference between competency and qualification. Gas safe will always be going, illegal gas work by lapsed gas engineer. So he was qualified, he just didn't pay, and now it's illegal, right? But he did it. It was fine, but it's illegal. So now, legally, we've got a situation where I've got Grandad, who's not gas safe, not done his portfolio, can't do his portfolio because he doesn't drive at the minute, can't get to night school, blah, blah, blah. Different story, doesn't matter. But he's not done his portfolio, but he spent 7 years fitting boilers, flushing systems, fault finding, dealing with things, right? Not necessarily boiler fault finding, but central heating fault finding.
Yeah.
He understands how the system works, how the house
Half the
works.
breakdowns are external problems to the boiler.
Well, exactly. So he knows what's going on. He knows how to be a plumber now, right? He knows how to fit a boiler because he's seen me do it so many times and he's helped me do it so many times. This is what he wants it to look like. This is the stuff we need to do. Those are the measurements we need to work to. Let's make it fit this house. Brilliant. So on the legality side of things, I've got Stuart, who started with us full-time last September. He was doing Fridays with Grandad. He came to us. He went to school with me, same age as me. He decided to retrain much later on, right? Probably 27 when I retrained. So he's, let's say 2 years. So he's probably 36, 37 when he decided to leave a reasonably well-paid full-time job in welding fabricating that he'd been doing for 15 years to then go and work for peanuts to become a plumber. And obviously, he's not working for peanuts because he's got a family to support. It cost me a fortune. But that's a different thing. But then he did night school. I says, look, do night school whilst you're still at work because you can fit that in around work.
Yeah.
Do your night school. Once you've got your plumbing, then you've got half an idea from night school of what you're going to need to do to be a plumber. You can't do gas without being a plumber. End of story. If anybody that does gas and thinks they can fit a boiler, they're an idiot. They've been lied to, right? You need to know what those pipes do and why they're doing what they're doing before you should legally be allowed to put the box on top of them. Just because you are legally allowed to put the box on top of them doesn't mean you understand why the water gets hot or why the radiators don't work or why you need to put that over there rather than over here. That's where the plumbing comes in. How do floorboards work? How does roofing work? How does electrics work? You don't know until you've done plumbing. Whereas to do gas, all you got to do is know how to commission a boiler. Oh, great. Someone else going to screw it to the hollow wall and roll plugs then, you know.
That's when heating engineers turn around and say, I'm not a plumber.
I'm not a plumbing heating engineer, yeah.
You know.
So, no, you got to be a plumber first, mate.
Exactly.
Plumbers know everything. King of the trades.
So
he's on site, right? This is where we're at now. You've got Grandad teaching. You've got the registered qualified gas engineer watching over Grandad whilst he competently installs the boiler that he can then check is competently installed by being qualified to do so, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, Grandad is teaching the qualified gas engineer how to do plumbing. It's synergy. It's synergy.
Work fits together.
Yes, well done. I have followed the manufacturer's instructions and have concluded the boiler is correctly installed and legal and now signed off, registered and commissioned within MIs. Could you just tell me what's going on with this TRV though? Because I'm a bit confused, right? But all credit to Stuart. Again, much older brain, much more sensible than I am. Much more mature than I am, I would say as well. But he's taken to the trade quite well. He's obviously brought a lot of practical skills and experience from his previous job, and you can see that by how quickly he has learned. I think I'm a little bit hard on him sometimes, a little bit quick to kind of be like, well, why don't you know this?
Yeah, I mean, you probably started deep frying solder fittings, didn't you, when you come to the trade from your fucking cooking background?
Exactly. You know, I was like, this is what I said. What gas number do you put the blowtorch on? Well, we had gas mark 6 for 15 mil and gas mark 7 for 20 minutes on the 22. But yeah, so and I think Stuart. I hope that Stuart thinks he's in the right place because again, he's getting a lot of knowledge from me and Grandad. A lot of stuff that me and Grandad have learnt together over the years. You know, we bumbled through it together and now we're better people for it. We're better engineers for it, better plumbers for it.
I bet there's, because obviously you worked with Grandad before you took Stuart on. That transition is big because then you've got to worry, because you were just worrying about you and Grandad. Yeah. It's fine. Now you've got to worry about them two and you going out.
There's
How's
two
that
diaries.
transition
been? There's 2 diaries. There's 3 sets of wages. There's holidays that they book off and have to try and plan around. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm very grateful that they are who they are. You know, I think Grandad's lasted as well because he fitted. Stuart's lasting well because he fits. I think he understands my ethos and the way I work and vice versa, you know, and I think to take people on, to grow by taking people on that have already got their own ways is difficult, because you then have to correct those things or figure out those things or retrain those things. Whereas because I've kind of brought these people up from, in the plumbing world at least, from nothing, it's like, this is how I run my business.
Yeah.
You know, Stuart might...
They're not being infiltrated by another
Exactly.
business
So they
before.
might go to another place. Well, Jesus Christ, what have you been
Yeah,
doing for
yeah.
the last few years? Well, I've been working for Pointy, and this is how we do it, you know, which is might be totally wrong, totally different,
but you
whatever.
prefer that they work to your level and your standards, rather than having to, because they might to teach somebody who's already been taught a different way is harder than to teach somebody
Well,
who's
exactly,
fresh.
because you've got to break through the fact that you might be younger or less experienced, but you do it a certain way and you want it doing a certain way. So I think I'm grateful that I've been lucky enough to have people just kind of fall in my lap at the right time, at the right place. So I never really wanted to take on another person. I didn't really want to take on Stuart in the fact of, I could do with an extra person. I'm earning less money now than I was earning when it was just me and Grandad.
How comes it happened then?
You know, well, again, it just kind of did, and it kind of fell in my lap. But
You have to step back to move forward.
yeah, but I say that as I say,
You ain't step back.
no, so
Only
it's a side step.
financially, innit,
Exactly. So what I say that I'm earning less now than I was before, it's if I compare to full-time September 24, because I keep saying last September, it wasn't September, it was last February. Last February he did his gas, and it was September before he started with us full-time, you know, when he left the business he was with and came to us, you know, 5 days a week. And between that September and the February, he'd obviously completed his portfolio. And then because we do so many boilers and so much work, he did his portfolio within 2 months, signed on to the ACS and did his ACS at Walsall Training Centre, which is where I did mine, you know, which is where I've been back to do fridge gas and where I've been back to do LPG and unvented. And it's a, you know, up the road from where I live, about 45 minutes away. And that's where I did my initial assessment and where I've gone back to do my retest, and just a great little training centre, Walsall Training Centre is, to be honest. But that's where he went. But anyway, so where this time last year, I was like, oh my God, I can't afford this day rate. You're not making me any money. I'm literally working to pay my own bills because you're not making me enough money. And you've taken Grandad, because Grandad's the experience, the knowledge, the capability to teach him plumbing whilst he drives Grandad around to be able to get to the jobs, to do the jobs. And I'm figuring out that I may have to find jobs that they can do, that I know they can do, but, you know, wean them in on certain stuff. And it was so stressful.
You've got one good engineer and two people, effectively.
Yeah, but now, so we come on from last February to where we're about to be pretty much 12 months later on, possibly by the time this goes out, who knows, 12 months on. And we've gone from being a detriment, a pain in the arse, an effort, an extra source of thinking and worrying and figuring out and teaching. Because the problem is, because he went in at such a high wage point, I didn't have the opportunity to take him under my wing, treat him like a lackey, for him to learn the same way as Grandad did. Because it's like, if I'm paying you engineers' wages, you need to be an engineer. I need you to be an engineer now, you know, because I can't afford to pay you to be a trainee at that money, because that's not how it works. You know, if you want to be a trainee, great, but you can't be a trainee and a paid, like a skilled operative pay level, you know. So it's been a transition. It's been a tough one. It's been a hard one, but I'm looking now at a future, or a near future, or a future where that table's turning now, where they're achieving what I need them to achieve. They are making me money. I'm able to do things like this whilst those guys are at work today, paying my mortgage effectively. You know, it's turned around now where it's like I can set them up on a boiler installation. This time last year, I was just paying an extra, very expensive extra helper. Yeah. But now they go out, they fit the boiler, they commission the boiler, they sign it off, they hand over to the customer. You know, so it's worked well. That stretch, that financial burden, that financial struggle that I've felt for the last year, the quiet bits where I've kind of carried on paying them, even though I'm not really making the money, I've carried on paying them because that's how it works. You know, I felt obliged that if I want them to come back when I need them, I need to pay them when I can't afford them. You know, because that's how businesses work. Yeah. You know, I need their dedication. I need to show them mine. And I feel like that's an important part of business. If you can't afford to do that, you shouldn't really, you know, if others are happy for that, great, but you're not going to get 100% out of them because you're not giving them 100%. And so, it did cost a lot, but it's paying off. It's we're getting to a point now where I'll be effectively underpaying Stuart soon, and that sounds bad, doesn't it? Underpaying, but I've overpaid for him to learn, so that I will then hopefully spend a good chunk of a year effectively underpaying him to make back what I overpaid, to be able to go, right, now you're up to kind of like 100% speed, go make me some bloody money, right? Then it's like, brilliant, there's all that money that I overspent last year, but then it's like, right, you're on a nice tick over now. You two are, getting through the work, no issues. You're more and more experienced every day, every week. You get better and better and faster, and you're making more and more money. And every year, I want to be like, well, look, here's more money, because if I'm making more money, obviously they need to make more money because they're making more money for me. That's the whole point. Mm-hmm. But I still work. I still do ridiculous hours. I was out till 10:30 last night, doing...
Do we see you moaning?
Yeah, moaning at life.
I can't go to Dartford tomorrow.
Dartford, a day off work.
I'm stressed.
7 hours round trip, and I shouldn't be doing it. And it's like, 'cause I know I shouldn't be, but I want to do it because it's important sometimes to get your story out there, to be asked these questions. Because if one bit hits home for somebody, it's a really positive thing,
When we're going to wrap up very shortly, but you are the face of the Plumber Social.
Oh, Plumber Social, aka Installer Social.
You started it off, the ball rolling with it.
So I can't take complete credit because two very well-known people in the trade, Grant Grundlefinger, Copper Skills. Yeah. I think that's his surname. I'm always terrible at his surname. And John Cruikshank, who you'll be very familiar with down here, obviously. Yeah. So them two, obviously, I didn't really know much of them two at the time, 4 or 5 years ago. Well, tell a lie. So I did an event called Plumber Social, and I wanted to do something. Someone was on the...
Yeah, it was local to you, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I saw this thing where someone had a bit of a meltdown publicly that they hadn't been invited to what looked like a very cliquey event. And it was like, and it did look like one, totally get it. But obviously it was, was it a joke? It felt serious. But it just made me think. I was like, but why isn't there something that everyone's invited to from social media? Why isn't there a social thing from social media? Yeah. Right? So I did a Plumbers Social, and I started an Instagram page for it, and I started to advertise it. I got a little bit of support. AD Filters, Dave, especially from Dave Ellis from AD Filters, who I was friends with, acquaintances with, and Steve Taylor were like, they always used to do the trade mornings together. And Dave was like, oh, that's a great idea, Pointy. You should get on that. You should do it. We'll, listen, AD, I've got the company card. AD will help do that. We can throw some money towards it, get for the room hire or whatever. It's like, brilliant, okay. And that was actually the first and only financial support we ever got for Plumbers Social was from AD Filters and Dave. Paying £100 for the room hire at the Longbridge Social Club, which is actually in Northfield, very confusing. But anyway, and then I basically tried to get free stuff. I got a couple of tool bags off some people, and we ended up. I got a guy to give me a bit of a box meal deal from a local burger van. He pulled up at the back, and I got a mate of mine to come and do his acoustic guitarist and singer, Alex White. He came and did a bit of a set. We did a Jaffa Cake challenge.
I remember the Jaffa Cake challenge. I remember commenting on it.
Cake challenge. It was brilliant. It was
Where was this?
So it was just in a social workingmen's club by me.
No, I watched it. I watched it on the live.
I didn't know it started then.
Yeah. So that's the first one, and I did it, and it was hard graft, and it was so much effort, and I tried to do it for charity, and no one was really that interested. I did it for Men Talk, which is Steve's charity. It was men's mental health back in the early days before it was cool, and so we did it for that, and we earned a couple of £100, and we sold raffle tickets. That was the worst thing I ever did, was sell raffle tickets. That was hard graft, that was. But it was a good night. We had 20 odd people pay for tickets. a few people came from quite a distance to go to this thing that obviously latched onto the idea. It was like, this would be a great idea. This would be a good crack. And you know what? It was a great crack. It was a good night. The right people came.
Yeah.
The right people had a good time. And from those 25 paying tickets, they went out and, oh, it was brilliant. And people was, oh, when you're going to do one up north and when you're doing down south. And I'm like, this is a shocking idea. You know, I've always said I never want to make any money off Plumber Social. I never have directly made any money from Plumber Social. I've never taken a cut. I've never taken prizes. It's all been for the social, you know.
Yeah.
Which is, again, was a stupid idea. But anyway, so then fast forward a bit, installer show's coming round. It's no longer at the Rico Arena and it's moving to the NEC for the first time. And then, you know, Grant and this Grant reaches out and says, him and John have been chatting. And, you know, this thing that I think used to be done at the brewery by the Rico Arena isn't happening anymore. How would I feel about being boots on the ground with this Plumber Social idea that I've you know, obviously got a bit of traction with and done all right with, that seemed like a really good vibe, getting something to do around the new venue, Birmingham NEC, somewhere in the Midlands. I was like, oh no, that sounds like an absolutely horrible idea. Yeah, all right, I'll do it. Yeah. And so the official Plumber Social was born. So they kind of brought it to me as an idea. Obviously, they live quite far away. So as much as being there for me to call if I needed them and offering their assistance, there wasn't really a huge amount they could do particularly. They put me in touch with a few manufacturers and I basically went from there to being like, right, sorry, charity, but I'm not doing it for charity because that I've realised very quickly that is a certain niche of event organisation that needs to work in a certain way and it wasn't working. So then I turned around and just asked for money. What's it for? Social media, social, plumbers. It's going to be great. It's all your customers. It's all your target market. Get in amongst them, come yourself, have a few drinks. This is where the money's going. I'm spending it on this, food and drink, and that's it. Because I sure as shit didn't pay the comedian, although he was very good. And that was it, you know. And then again, you know, I think it was, I can't remember whether it was you reached out to me or I reached out to you to ask, like, would you mind doing it?
Yeah, you
at
said,
the Mockingbird.
I think Grant asked me to do it at the Mockingbird, and I said, "Yeah, definitely, I'll do it." And I think I was only about 6 or 7 gigs in.
Yeah,
if that.
But it was brilliant. I mean, we rammed that cinema, full house.
How many's in there?
I mean, it was about 150, at least 200 people in there. It was a busy. It was rammed. It was absolutely rammed. We had more people than seats.
That was my biggest gig. That was my biggest gig because I'd only ever done open mic circuits and that, so it's quite a thing.
It's an actual gig.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I can still remember it now, and you smashed it, and it was so funny, and it was great. And it was just that birthplace of, you know, that thing. And it was just so good and fitted the audience so well. But then that was the kind of the template that I built then for Plumber Social.
Good. It was so good at the Custard Factory.
Yeah, it was. It's brilliant.
It was such an amazing event.
It's unfortunate that we've kind of outgrown it because I love the vibe and I love the fact it was local businesses. Well, the one was a local business.
We did it 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. And then
second year we done it and we introduced Dave and Steve as well into
that's
the show.
That's it. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, another Steve Taylor.
Yeah.
And Dave. Dave was very funny. I think Dave certainly cut his teeth on the limelights there, didn't he? That was great. And then obviously the last year we were there then. It was obviously the podcast that you came to do, and that was a great little thing. You know, people getting involved. But by that point, by the 3rd year at the Custard Factory, the 4th event that I was doing, you know, for no money and not really, you know, it was like I enjoyed doing it and I loved being that guy that did it. Because again, going back to what I spoke about, I loved being that guy. I loved being Pointy, the dude that did it. You know,
that's what I appreciate about you. You're not playing yourself down. And you're telling it the way it is.
Do it for the fame.
You want to be that guy. Yeah, but there's so many people out there.
It feels great to be that guy.
You know, but there's so many people out there going, oh, no, don't. And they play it down and they're modest and they're all this and bollocks.
No, tell me I'm great.
But they really do want to be told that.
Yeah.
And
just be
honest.
You are you. Yeah, man.
There's no any if much wabies. You want to be the guy. And I respect that.
Yeah, I wanna be that guy.
To be fucking honest.
Van Pointy, party liaison.
But you've done a wicked
Without
job
the
with
girls,
it.
obviously.
You've done a wicked job with it.
Thanks.
Hats
Thanks.
off to you.
It was bloody graft. It really was. You know, and obviously it was one of my actual birthday fell on one of the nights that we had. It was always the Wednesday night at the custard factory. So yeah, I mean, and that's where it came from. I mean, we went from, you know, charging people £20 a ticket with a couple of quid donation to charity to pay for food and drink and cover the costs, some key rings and raffle tickets and a bit of tool bags and stuff that we managed to get off people for prizes, to then where we were last year, where we probably had a 12 and a half grand bar budget. We had 20 people at the first one, 25 people at the first one. So then we had a 12 grand bar budget. The last numbers we had at the custard factory was about 980 people. I think we handed out wristbands. So we had almost 1,000 people at the last one. Again, with a 12 grand bar budget, again, with about 10 to 12 grand's worth of prizes in the free raffle. And this is another thing. It's always been a free raffle. You should do it for charity. No. Don't get it. Don't know why. You speak to manufacturers, that budget is a charity budget. If you speak to marketing's different. Marketing want to push, they want to promote, they want to spend, they want to get it out there. And doing things like the social, the installer social, plumber social, whatever it is.
Kills two birds with one
it
stone.
does.
Everyone has a great time and companies.
And
do
they
market.
are attached to it.
Exactly.
And that's the whole point.
Charity's a risky one, isn't it?
It is. And it's also it's unfortunate, don't get me wrong, but it's also a hard sell. You know, it's like, it's for charity, or what charity? What's it benefiting from? Oh, it doesn't really align with our values. Like, can I have some free money? Yeah, right.
And charity's always under scrutiny as well.
Yeah.
Suspicion.
Well, it could be the wrong one,
Yeah.
or then you'll end up getting slated on social media because money's gone missing and all this lot. So I adamantly didn't want to have an account with any money in for it for the social, because I thought people were going to hold me up and say, oh, bloody hell, where's this money gone, Pointy? You've been having out the till. Yeah. So I always wanted it to be like, no, I've not handled any money, pay the venue. But then the last one we ended up doing, I had to do an account to get money in so I could then spend on stuff before the event, because I needed the money to pay for the event to get ahead of it, you know. But then I've had to pay for bookkeeping out of that as well. I've just had to send off my last set of accounts for 2024 to 25, which was, you know, the last one that I had any financial dealings with, to show where all the money came from, where all the money went, what it got spent on, and so on. So yeah, but I always said I wanted it to be, not everyone always tells me, oh yeah, but no one's ever going to question that. I says, yeah, but I need it to be airtight. I want to show that there's not a single penny that's gone into that bank account in my name / Plumber Social that's gone anywhere but on drinks and food and prizes, you know. And so, I mean, I think I paid for parking out of it, you know, because I needed to park my van around the back, because that was it. But that was it. And I've always had it like that. So when Installer reached out and wanted to do something on a bigger scale, which ironically was on a smaller scale, just in a bigger place, we obviously did the inaugural Installer Social at the NEC last year. Feedback was mixed. Obviously, you're always going to have the purists that were like, you know, it's not the same as the custard factory. It wasn't the same vibe. And I'm like, I know, you're right, it wasn't. My personal disappointment with it was how the bar was handled. We were meant to be handing out drinks vouchers like we've always done from day one. As much as it sounds horrible, humans are cattle. If you don't herd cattle, they will fucking walk about in the middle of main roads, mate. You know what I mean? You have to herd cattle. You have to expect them to be cattle, and you have to do that, because believe it or not, cattle are happy when they're treated like cattle. They walk across the field, they do what they're going to do, they get the food, they get the water, they stand around and chew cud for a day. Brilliant time. Everyone's getting it. But no, if you let humans be humans, it's carnage, right? So no drinks vouchers were handed out. There was about a 10-15 minute gap between people starting to show up and get let in before we had staff to hand out the drinks vouchers, which means it was a free-for-all on the bar. People were taking the piss. There were people that didn't even get a free drink. We had a 12 and a half, possibly 13 grand bar budget at the NEC last year, and there were people that didn't get a drink. And there was only allowed by the NEC security 500 people to be in. So we spent somehow the same amount of money that 980 people had a fucking brilliant night out on half the people in half the time, right? Now, that wasn't installers' downfall. That wasn't my downfall. That was people. That's humans being humans. Now, I'm not going to hold it against you. Look, I was the same. You give me an open bar, mate, especially with my background in history, I'd have been there 6 deep, give it here.
My opinion on it was probably like your cattle thing,
Yeah.
analogy, is that people who wanted to go to a custard factory genuinely wanted to go to a custard factory.
Yes.
Where it was on the doorstep at installer, people who ordinarily wouldn't have made the trip. The custard factory thought, do you know what, we'll just have a look.
We'll just go and have a look.
And we went,
Yeah.
and do you know what I mean? That's the difference.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
exactly. So we, there were people that weren't let in nearer the end of the night. And look, it was the first time I knew it was going to be a bit of a car crash in the fact that we needed to get it to there and we needed to get it to happen. And we needed to say, look, we're moving it. It's moved. It's happened. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Dealing with 5 individual businesses was no longer doable. Only 2 of those businesses wanted us there. The others were just happy to have us. They were just, whatever, great. The one business in the corner of the custard factory, second the bar budget was gone, locked the doors and went home. I'm like, cool, thanks. You didn't want to make any extra money. No. You just had the money we put behind the till and went. That's it. That was the difference. I was battling to give people money to be open. I'm like, do you want it or not? Like, well, yeah, we'll open. How much are you going to give us a deal on the drinks if we give you a certain amount? No, if you want to use our bar, use our bar. Oh, cool, thanks. Meanwhile, like Lee Nabs at the Mockingbird Cinema, and Sober Mesa next door, they are true independents. They were like, yes, please, we'll sort it out. We'll do fridges in the courtyard. We'll do special pints. We'll get a couple of cheap kegs in so you can have £5 pints or whatever it was. Bear in mind at the time, it's still like £6.50, £7 in Digbeth for a pint most of the time. So they were doing deals. They were making it happen for us. And without them, it would never have kicked off in the first place, But and they've now suffered because the other people are too hard to deal with. And you're just like, oh, we don't really need your event. Oh, you don't want a few grand over the bar on a Wednesday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, whatever. But this is what I was dealing with. So it's unfortunate. I actually invited Lee and his missus as guests of honour last year. Typically, they couldn't make it. But, nice. I kind of sent them a little box with a couple of hats and, branded by Sammy did me some nice little installer social hats with my autograph on. You've got one now. I see it in your stories a lot, I know. I'm like proud. But yeah, so yeah, it's like we moved it anyway and it happened. And so from that now, I know what that new venue is going to have to be. And I know that we have to do drinks tokens. We have to do signing with drinks vouchers because then everybody will get what they got at the custard factory. They'll get a couple of drinks each. We have to make sure we're controlling people with regards to how much pizza they get or have 1,000 times more pizza again, like we ended up doing the last year. We had it at the custard factory when 4 Domino's delivery cars showed up at the same time with the back seats and the front seats piled high with pizzas, right? It was insane to see a procession of like 6 blokes in Domino's uniforms just carrying in piles of pizza. What a shot. But yeah, so that'll always be, that'll always be like the pinnacle what I want to get back to. That's going to be, that third year at the custard factory was where it was where it needed to be, It was amazing. We had the great comedy, like stage show, that going on in there. The prizes were off the hook. We had power tools, we had experience days, we had training courses, we had all sorts of stuff getting thrown in, tool bags galore, Velocity always been mega, Unilight mega, just to name a couple of them. It's everyone's always been so like, what they're doing that? Yeah. Like Viva this year, Viva Sanitary, right? They forgot the prize back at their warehouse. So he went out on the day to go and buy a Nintendo Switch from the nearest Argus so he could bring the prize and put it on the table like I'd asked everybody to do. MKM, although they brought a tool vault, a van vault and some Bosch power tools, but I'm like, you've got it into the NEC, a van vault, a proper van vault. How is anybody carrying that home? I still to this day don't know what happened to that van vault because I know I spoke to the bloke. He's like, I left it there. I was like, yeah, but did you go back for it? Well, no, I couldn't carry it. I was like, so
Where
What
did it
happened
go?
to the van vault?
Yeah.
We're just going to go back to Witherspoons this year, and there'll be a van vault sat in the corner. You left that there, Sasha. But yeah, so moving forward, one very important thing, and this needs to go in the final cut. I know we're an hour over. It's going to be a great edit.
Wow, it
We'll
is
do a
a long
15-minute video out of this. It's brilliant. Very, very important about Installer Social at the NEC this year. Yes, it is at the NEC again this year. No, I'm not 100% sure where in the NEC, but it is going to be on site. There's something very exciting happening this year that's also moving to the Midlands later on in the year, which we're hoping to partner with. They've asked to partner with us. They've been involved with Plumber Social in the past. There's your clue, your hint. That's all I'm saying. They were an official partner in the past, and they want to be an official partner again. So we're just negotiating that and sorting that out, how it works for everybody and where we can have it. I want it to just use the bar where it is and go into the hall as well and do something a bit more special. Anyway, the most important information you need to know about Installer Social 2026 is that yes, it is happening. Yes, it is at the NEC. No, it is not on Wednesday night. It is on Tuesday night. It is on the first night of Installer.
That's a difference.
June the 22nd, I think. Hold on, just let me double check because I don't want to tell you the wrong date. That would be embarrassing from the organiser, the creator. No, so it's the 23rd. It's Tuesday, the 23rd. So Installer runs from the 23rd to the 25th. It's free to visit. Just come along. Bring your pass. The Installer Social, again, will be free to visit. It is free. You'll get a couple of drinks, hopefully. Some food. There'll be entertainment. It's a great night. There's a free raffle. There's great prizes. Who knows what else we're going to be doing, but hopefully it's going to be bigger and better than ever. We've got more security, more staff, and a later license. I already can confirm those three things. But it is on Tuesday, the 23rd, not the Wednesday night. Okay.
What was the reason behind that?
The World Plumbing Conference, brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Plumbing and Heating Engineers and Installer Show, among lots of other fantastic businesses, is traditionally held on the Wednesday night, so that the Merit Awards and the WPC World Plumbing Conference will be held on the Wednesday night.
Right.
So we've moved our event to the Tuesday night. So if you're planning on coming to Installer Show 2026 at the NEC, 23rd to the 25th of June, it is the first night for the party.
Get
big party.
fucked up on the first night.
Absolutely smash, mate. You spend 2 days with a banging hangover. You know, might keep them a bit calmer at the Merit Awards. You never know. Might do. You never know. But yeah, so that's the big difference. It is happening. It is on Tuesday, the 23rd of June at the NEC somewhere. Bring your pass.
Be there.
Be there. It doesn't matter what trade you are, evidently. Very good marketing last year for Installer Show, mixing up the chippies and the brickies and the God knows what else. Look, it's turning into a trade show. It's going to be a trade show, but we're all in this together, right? We're all tradies. We should all benefit from the free party. But if you know anybody that's not in a plumbing manufacturing standpoint that wants to support Installer Social, then bring your own drink, yeah? Just let us know who they are. I can reach out to them and get some money off them because they ain't drinking for free. You know?
Well, that was an entertaining 2 hours.
This is our longest one
That's
today.
our longest. I knew it would be long.
20, I mean, you guys, 39 years in 2 hours. It's pretty big, that.
It's probably the longest podcast we've had, but it's probably the less we've spoken, us two.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything, Keiran?
No, you're all right, mate. You know what I mean? It's all about you. Like
Did you get through any of your list?
I don't know.
I think we did cover it by you just talking. We didn't even have to ask the question.
You're an easy
I do
guest.
that a lot. Yeah,
Easy
just wind him up. They left the room for a lot of that. They just went and sat down, did some paperwork. I just carried on.
And we're grateful for you to come down.
Thanks for coming
in your
on.
busy schedule and
Very,
stressful life.
very busy, stressful life.
So we appreciate you.
Should we leave it on some advice from your older self with that? If anyone's going through that, what would
You
you
got
advise?
another 10 minutes in these lights.
No, but 10 minutes, like, yeah, like, I think they're going to get very hot
in 1
soon.
minute.
Okay, no. Okay, so if you think you're struggling, or even if you think you're not struggling, if you are tired of paying a high price for low living, if you want a different way of thinking about things and feel that you're ready to look for that, then it's never too late to change. It's a very important thing to do. It's not as scary as it seems, and it'll be surprising how many more people around you want to help than want to try and break you down for it. But also, you will never know if you don't try, and that is what it is. You have to try. You deserve it. You're worth it. You got to do it for yourself, and you got to do it for the people around you. But more importantly, you have to do it for yourself, because if you don't want it, it's never going to work. So yeah, if you think that you're struggling or you want help, then reach out to anybody that might be able to help. na.org.uk is where I went. Find a local meeting, get yourself down there, and just get chatting about it. It's not a failure. It's just a new challenge.
Thanks
Cheers,
very
Pointy.
much, Pointy.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for coming on.
And don't forget, comment, like, subscribe to the channel. It all helps out. And we'll see you next time.